Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading, and today is June 17th, 2024, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the Nasdaq pushes even higher to all-time record highs. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So at 2:30 South African time, out of the United States, we have an Empire State Manufacturing Index number coming out. Now, looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the US dollar strengthens. And as we shift over to the indices, the Dow Jones rallies to resistance. Let's see if it gets a breakout. And as we look at commodities, gold and oil remain unchanged while the natural gas slides. Now, looking at the stocks, Microsoft and Apple that rallied to new highs last week hold on to those new highs. And lastly, look at cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin did dip a little bit further, but brought itself to an unchanged level. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. First with the Euro USD, it did retrace. Now this is what's beautiful about the Euro USD. It trades to its levels. It's not big. It doesn't trade big anymore. It's trading within a range. But once it hits it, and then it retraces. So we hit 108.90-ish level. We're right now at 107-ish level, just dipping below it at 106.93, which means that's almost a 200 pip retracement in just about a week and a half of trading. So a really great opportunity. It is shifting further down. Like once it gets into that 106-ish level, then it becomes a little bit more interesting towards the lower end of it as a possible, bounce from there. Now looking at the GBP USD, same story, did push further down to 126. And again, it's on that resistance-ish level, didn't break out higher. ECB rate statement last week, nothing really, to take it any higher, and boom, it just pushes lower. And that's an easy trade. Okay, now jumping into the Japanese yen, it's still on its lows, didn't push to new record lows once it hit that 159. So this is something really important because I'm still keeping an eye on this because it is, kind of gravitating to its lows, but not making new lows. So I want to see if it does start making those new lows. Now, jumping into commodities, gold and oil remain unchanged pretty much, but let's take a look at natural gas because that did slide earlier today and pushing it further down with a gap down. There we go. Look at it. Okay, now it did hit 317, also a very choppy trade, but it's right back down on its supportish level. Okay, so that may be a point where we may bounce here. Okay, so keep that in mind as this still is unfolding today. Now jumping into the US markets, let's take a look at that Dow Jones. Dow Jones rallies to that 39,000-ish level at resistance, and that's really an important level because we did retrace it. We're using it as a resistance. If we do break out, we could see ourselves making it back to that 40,000. However, if we don't, we may see ourselves retracing back to 38,500, which is a decent trade in of itself. So keep that in mind as we're shifting in this area. Now, we are getting a little bit more bullish kind of sentiment, just a little bit, not much, but just a little bit. Now, looking at that Microsoft and Apple, Microsoft holding on to its gains of 442, not retracing. And if we look at Apple, retrace just a little bit, but is holding on to those gains. So this is really very important. Now, when we look at the Nasdaq, whoo-wee, all-time record highs, holding on to its new highs, 19,951. That's only 49 points away from 20,000. Wow, that's a massive push. I mean, let's take a look at a weekly chart. Okay, you can see it. That's a massive push for the Nasdaq. Okay, for what was trading in 2020 as low as 6,000 is now close to 20,000. Okay, so unbelievable comeback for the Nasdaq. Now, jumping into the big tech, not the big tech stocks, the big board stocks, which is JP Morgan. It did retrace somewhat from our highs, trading at 193. So I'm not sure if we'll get that push higher on the Dow Jones. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's take a look at Bank of America, also off of its highs. So, I'd have to look at it individually to see if we get that impetus to push higher. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin sold off to 65,000, got a little bit of a bounce. From week to week, it's not much change, okay? I'm saying at 66,000. Yes, did it retrace? It did. From 69 down to 65. We're at the lower end of it. Okay, so there is some negative sentiment. It's still in a downwards trend. So keep that in mind, all right? But it bounced off of support. So with that said, it may test that support at 65,000 again. So keep that in mind for today. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.